The brutal truth about Victorian dads, why hugs were a forbidden pleasure, until now. In the shadowy alleys of Victorian England, when society was wrapped in the cold grip of tradition, an unspeakable mystery lurked behind closed doors. It wasn't just the fog curling around the gaslights that sent shivers down spines, it was the overwhelming secret hanging in the air that hugs, the warm embrace of a father, were deemed scandalous, horrifically taboo. What twisted heart could condemn such a sweet gesture? The question raced through every curious mind. Imagine a father, his face gaunt and worn like the cracked paint of an old portrait, standing rigid as stone while his child wobbled close, arms opened wide, a picture of innocent joy. But this tenderness was met with a frigid stare that could freeze hell. The whispers of society echoed through drawing rooms and playgrounds alike, poisoning the very fabric of familial bonds. Did they fear the emotion? Or was it something deeper, something that sent tremors through the very heart of manhood? And then there were the rules: men were to be strong, unyielding, and utterly stoic. Imagine standing there, hands at your sides, teeth clenched, every fiber of your being desperate to reach out. Yet, just like that whispering fog, feelings must remain dormant, tucked away like secrets in a coffin. You could feel the tension crackle like a summer storm, a growing urgency ready to burst forth. Open arms were a sign of weakness, a father never nurtured openly. Could this narrow view of masculinity have shattered generations of love? The evidence seems to point that way. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the narrative unfolds, those chilling portraits of fathers loom larger, casting doubt over their affection. What if those stern looks concealed their pain, a longing for connection masked by society's ruthless expectations? The more questions sprang forth, the more the chilling reality settled in. Loving gestures kept at bay only grew heavier through the ages. And that S when the whispers began. Secret letters, inked with trembling hands, revealed stories of fathers longing for connection yet suffocated by the very world they inhabited. What darkness laid in every heartbeat that longed for embrace? With uncertainty hanging thick in the air, the truth began to unravel like stitching in a tattered cloak. What was the real cost of these cruel expectations? As the wheels turn, only one thought looms above the rest: was there hope for redemption, a chance to rewrite this tragic narrative? The heart raced as the next chapter beckoned. Beneath the pallor of gaslight, the air felt different, charged with an unseen energy. Each footfall echoed through the cobbled streets, full of suppressed truths and heart-wrenching silence. The stories that had been buried like forgotten bones were clawing at the surface. The very fabric of masculinity was about to tear asunder. In a dimly lit parlor, a young woman named Clara perched on the edge of a fraying chaise. Her hands trembled as she clutched a letter, its edges worn and tattered. Each word seemed to resonate with the anguish of generations. "Father, I wish you would hold me," it read. The ink bled into the paper like tears upon parchment, raw and untouched by time. Clara's heart raced as she envisioned the man behind those words, a father torn between duty and desire, trapped, just like the rest. Suddenly, the silence shattered. The door creaked open, revealing her father, a figure molded by years of rigid expectations. His tall stature, draped in a tailored coat, spoke of authority, yet his eyes, clouded and distant, revealed a flicker of longing. Clara had never witnessed a gentler side of him. Seeing those emotions felt like discovering a ghost lurking just beneath the skin. "Clara," he said, his voice gravelly, bearing the weight of secrets. "What is it that troubles you?" She hesitated, her throat tight with unspoken fears. Would the truth fracture their world even further? As she opened her mouth to reply, a wave of courage surged through her. It's the letters, father. They admit a truth we can no longer ignore. We're all choking on silence. His expression contorted, anger brewing in the depths. You don't understand, the world does not allow such weakness. A father must be strong. Her heart sank. The old mantra echoed painfully. Those very words had been bedrock to them, but now they felt like chains. But what if strength comes from connection? What if it's free to love openly? His reaction was immediate, a flash of panic, two worlds colliding. You speak nonsense, he thundered, and Clara recoiled, her breath hitching. She watched as he retreated, doors slamming shut on generations of repressed love, the distance between them growing unbearable. Outside, the fog thickened, swirling like the doubts in Clara's mind. She made her way through the streets, each step heavier than the last. Shadows seemed to leer at her, murmurs lacing the air. What a scandal, she is doomed. Yet as she passed the haunting portraits in the gallery, their eyes shimmered with longing. No longer were they silent sentinels of the past, they were beacons of lost warmth, urging Clara forward. What had once been respect for her father transformed into a fierce determination. She would not let fear stand guard over love any longer. The next meeting of the society had to be different. Clara could feel the shift in the air, a change brewing just out of reach. What lay beneath the facade was monstrous, festering. Would her voice pierce the veil? Driven with a mix of fervor and dread, she set pen to paper, her heart racing as the ink flowed. This letter would be different. This letter would demand a reckoning. As she finished, she pressed her palm against the parchment, steadying her racing heart. Beneath the bravery coursing through her veins lurked a fear. What would the society think? Would all of her efforts solidify or condemn? With the ink still fresh, she folded the letter and pushed it under the door where the echoes of her father echoed so clearly. Each heartbeat drummed loudly in her ears as she whispered into the shadows. "Father, it's time." But as the ink dried, a shadow crept through the door and Clara couldn't shake the feeling that what came next would change everything. Would it bring release or unleash hell upon them all? That uncertainty hung heavy, paralyzing in its grip. Could she prepare for the truth that was about to spill, or had she ignited a storm too fierce to contain? The moments ticked away, tension thick in the air, and the next chapter loomed ominously ahead. The door creaked open wider, and Clara's heart raced as the shadow stepped into the light. It was not her father that emerged, but a figure she recognized all too well, Samuel, her father's closest friend and confidant. His presence filled the room with an unsettling aura, one that sharpened the air like a knife. "Clara," he said, voice steady yet fraught with tension, "I need to talk to you." "What are you doing here?" Her voice trembled, revealing a mixture of fear and surprise. The urgency in Samuel's eyes made her circle of apprehension tighten. He stepped further into the room, glancing cautiously over his shoulder as if unwelcome eyes might be watching. "I've come to warn you. Your father, he's not who you think he is." The weight of his words hung in the air like damp fog, taxing Clara's breath. "What do you mean?" she questioned, her eyes narrowing. She didn't want to hear what she suspected might follow. The writing of that letter had already opened an expanse of terror she was not sure she was ready to traverse. Behind the facade, he's hiding darkness, secrets that could destroy this family. The society itself, it's a web of lies, all of them bound by fear. They will do anything to maintain their control, Samuel pressed, his voice low, almost conspiratorial. Clara felt the blood drain from her face. "But why now?" she whispered, her heart hammering against her chest, desperate for answers. "He has always been my father first, even if he's not the man I hoped." Samuel stepped closer, urgency blazing in his gaze. "Because if you move forward with that letter, you'll unleash something far worse. Your father is not just fearful, he's dangerous. You must be cautious, Clara." Fury flared within her, a blazing response to Samuel's warnings. "How can I remain silent? They're suffocating us. My voice is all I have left. This is not just about you." He shot back, his fevered intensity drawing Clara further in. If you expose the truth, think of the consequences. They'll come for you. And your father, he'll never forgive you. Clara felt her resolve falter. She had barely found her footing, and now this? The thought of losing everything, her father, her home, her very identity, swirled ominously just below the surface of her resolve. Suddenly, the door creaked behind them, sending a harsh chill through the room. Clara's heart raced anew at the thought of the old man's looming presence. He's here. She gasped, panic creeping up her spine. Samuel's eyes widened as he grasped her arm. You must decide. Do you truly wish to confront the shadow that is keeping you both shackled? Because once you step into that light, there's no going back and someone may get hurt. Clara felt the ground shift beneath her as anxiety morphed into an overwhelming urge for liberation. The ink on her letter had barely dried, yet she still clung to the fragile strands of hope that had woven through her thoughts. I cannot go back to silence. But what are you suggesting? Join me. There's a gathering tonight, where the truth spills like ink, but it's not safe for you alone. I will protect you. His eyes glinted with determination, sincerity pushing against the weight of their lives. Tension hung palpably. Clara felt her heart thud in tandem with a frantic, rising hope that threatened to overpower her rational fear. But could she trust him? His alliance felt like an ember in near darkness, yet she wondered, would it guide her or beckon more shadows? With her mind racing, Clara grasped the edge of resolve. Could she gamble everything on this moment? Would this turning point lead to redemption or spiraling disaster? A loud knock echoed through the room, a warning that time was slipping. Clara! Are you in there? Her father's voice sliced through the tension like a dagger. Now, it begins, Samuel whispered fervently. Did she possess the strength to confront her father? Or had Samuel's words cast another layer of doubt into her trembling heart? She only knew the answer loomed in the shadows, as uncertain and nebulous as the fog outside. And just like that, the choice crystallized before her. Would she emerge from the shadows or be consumed by them? The air thickened as Clara stood frozen, her thoughts racing. The knock at the door echoed like thunder in her ears. She could feel the weight of her father's voice clawing at her resolve, making her heart pound even louder. Samuel's grip on her arm tightened, grounding her in a storm of uncertainty. Clara, we don't have much time, he rasped, glancing again toward the door, dread painting his features. You need to make a decision. Now. Do I open the door? She breathed, panic rising like bile in her throat. Behind it lay the man she had trusted all her life, a man who had occupied every corner of her reality, now tainted by the shadows Samuel intrigued her with. No. You can't let him in. It's too risky. If he finds out what we've discussed. Samuel trailed off, his eyes wide and shimmering with fear. She could see the urgency in his posture, the clenching of his jaw, as though he were ready to leap into action at any moment. But I can't hide forever. Clara hissed, shoving away the rush of doubt that clouded her mind. He's my father. What if he's changed? What if no? Samuel interrupted, his voice rising sharply. We don't know who he is anymore. I've seen things, Clara. Terrible things. If you go back to him without knowing the truth, you're throwing yourself into a lioness den. The knocking grew harder, insistent. Clara. Open the door. Her father's voice shattered any remnants of calm, turning her insides to ice. Panic gripped her throat as visions of familial warmth crumbled into possible betrayal. What can he possibly want? Samuel whispered, fear threading his tone. Clara met his gaze, finding determination reflected there. They had started down a road paved with secrets, and there was no turning back now. Then show me the truth, she whispered, her heart racing. I'll confront him, but only armed with knowledge. Tonight then, Samuel said, releasing her as he retreated, flickering shadows cast by the dim light. It's a gathering of people who know what your father is hiding. Meet me at the old oak tree in the park, just after dusk. I can't just leave now," she exclaimed, but Samuel stepped back, urgency radiating off him. "Trust me, Clara. He doesn't have to know you're leaving. You mustn't engage with him until you understand everything. It's the only way to ensure your safety." His eyes bore into hers, fierce, pleading. Another rattle against the door echoed again, sharper this time. "Clara. Enough games. Open this door." The anger in her father's voice sent shivers coursing down her spine. Her instincts screamed for her to run, yet she stood rooted. Before Clara could reply, Samuel glanced behind him one last time, urgency etched on his face. "Go. Now." And with that, he slipped out of the room, gently closing the door behind him. The silence that followed felt deafening. Clara's pulse thundered in her ears, drowning out her own hesitant thoughts. Should she wait and face her father? Or abandon everything she knew for answers that could plunge her into darkness? As she took a tentative step toward the door, a familiar weight sank into her chest. The choice hovered before her. Every second that passed warped into a moment drenched in uncertainty. Could she really slip away unnoticed in pursuit of truth? Or would the very act of seeking answers draw her deeper into peril, risking everything she held dear? "Clara. Please." The desperation in her father's voice clawed at her, urging her to act. Clara turned toward the shadows, holding her breath, ready to step into the unknown. Her choices swirled like a tempest, and she felt the world around her teetering on the edge. There was no turning back now. The night held secrets, and with each beat of her heart, they called to her. Would she answer, or would silence seal her fate? Clara's heart raced as she stared at the door, her mind raging against the pounding urgency from the other side. "Clara. Let me in." Her father's voice echoed through the room, a grating sound that twisted somewhere deep inside her. What had happened to him? Was there really a monster on the other side, or was it just the man who used to care for her? She had to know. The world outside her window was slowly darkening, shadows creeping into the corners of the familiar space. With one deep breath, she turned and bolted toward the window. She needed to escape, to break free from her father's thrall of manipulation. Samuel would be waiting, and the truth awaited her unvarnished and raw. Stepping into the chill of the evening air, Clara felt her heart pound in her chest as she dashed through the garden, her feet barely touching the ground as she navigated the winding path. The rustle of leaves and the soft whisper of the wind accompanied her flight, urging her onward. She reached the park just as the sun dipped below the horizon, leaving the sky ablaze in hues of purple and orange. As she approached the old oak tree, she glanced around, the hairs on her neck prickling. Had anyone followed her? The whisper of the breeze felt ominous, like secrets carried on the wind. She spotted Samuel's silhouette leaning against the gnarled trunk, his expression carved with concern. "Clara," he breathed, his voice low and urgent. "You made it." "I was starting to worry." "I couldn't stay there," she replied, her voice trembling as tension pulled at her. "But what is going on? What do I need to know?" Samuel stepped closer, the fading light flickering off his features, framing him like a warrior ready for battle. "What I'm about to share isn't easy to hear. But you need to understand the dangers your father poses." Clara felt a knot tighten in her stomach. "Just tell me." "It's about your mother," he began, and the impact of his words hit her like a punch to the gut. "She didn't die like he told you. That's part of the lie." "What are you saying?" Her voice cracked, a mix of hope and disbelief swirling inside her. "What happened to her?" "Your father did something terrible," Samuel replied, his eyes darkening with the weight of grim knowledge. "He was involved in a world you can't even imagine, and it's not just secrets he's hiding. It's crimes, deep, treacherous crimes that put people's lives in danger." Clara felt her knees wobble beneath her, her world cracked open with the revelation. "You mean he?" "Yes. He has already ensnared you in his web, Clara. If you trust him again, you'll find so much more than you bargained for. I'm afraid he might come after you to keep you silent. The shadows lengthened around them as Clara's heart raced at the thought of her father. The very man she had sought comfort from could very well turn into her worst nightmare. A chill ran through her as anger mixed with betrayal. But why would he do this? Her voice was barely above a whisper, the truth too heavy to bear. Power, Clara. Control. Your mother was part of something larger, something he could not allow to continue. Samuel's words left an unsettling silence hanging between them. The night deepened, and she felt the weight of the decision before her pressing down like a blanket of darkness. What do I do now? She finally asked, the voice she barely recognized trembling with fear and determination. Samuel stepped closer, desperation apparent in his eyes. We need to expose him. The truth has to come out before it's too late. But first, you need to be prepared. Trust will be a weapon in this fight. Everyone is potentially an enemy. Clara's breath caught in her throat. The shadows loomed larger now, casting doubt upon her own judgment. How could she possibly navigate a war against the man she had always known? Samuel, she hesitated, memories of warmth and laughter colliding with the grim reality before her. What if everything we uncover leads to more danger? He looked at her with fierce intensity. Then we face it together. The darkness around them seemed to echo his words, and in that moment, the weight of choices loomed larger than ever. Would she stand with Samuel and risk everything for the truth? Or retreat back into the false realities of safety and ignorance? Clara felt the thrum of her heartbeat intensify, echoing the tension between resolve and fear. The night held answers and threats alike, but Clara knew she was at a crossroads. Find me again tomorrow. We start planning, she breathed, resolved but teetering. As she turned to leave, a distant siren wailed in the background, sending chills racing down her spine. Were her fears slowly creeping closer? And as she stepped away, she could almost hear the echo of her father's voice behind her. Would she indeed plunge into the ominous depths of the truth, or be lulled back into a dangerous slumber? Tomorrow would decide it all. She felt the choice rolling on her shoulders. How much risk was she willing to take to uncover the truth about the man she once called Dad? Would it lead to salvation or her ruin? Clara woke the next morning with a gnawing sense of dread. The sunlight streamed through her window, but it felt cold and unwelcoming. Every moment felt heavy, as if the very air around her was charged with tension. She could feel Samuel's urgency echoing in her mind, amplifying her fears. What if her father was watching? What if every step she took toward the truth was leading her deeper into danger? After a quick breakfast of toast that tasted like sawdust, she forced herself to step outside. Each ray of sun felt like a false promise, a distraction from the truth lurking beneath her skin. She spotted Samuel waiting by the old oak tree, his expression a mix of concern and determination. Clara. He waved her over. You're here. Good. Let us get this over with, she said, her voice trembling slightly, a mix of anxiety and fierce resolve. What's the plan? Samuel looked around, clearly on edge. We need to find the files. Your father keeps records of everything he does. If we can get our hands on them, we can expose him. Files? Clara asked, her stomach turning. You mean he keeps track of all the terrible things? We have to assume the worst, Samuel replied, his eyes darkening. And do it fast. We don't have much time. He is going to notice you're missing. Clara nodded, swallowing hard, the bitterness of uncertainty in her throat. Where do we look? I've seen him go through a hidden compartment in his office. I can help you get in there this afternoon. But first, there's something else. His voice dropped to a whisper, tension threading through his words. What is it? Your father has been meeting with some dangerous people. I overheard them talking about the consequences of betrayal. If you're found out. He trailed off, his gaze drifting to the ground. They don't just hurt people, Clara. They make examples out of them. Her heart raced. Would she be just another name on a list? Another victim caught in his twisted game? Listen, he said, urgency lacing his voice. We need to devise a way to communicate without him watching. If you see anything suspicious, any unexpected visitor, come back here. Okay, Clara agreed, trying to steady the tremor in her hands. But, how will I know when it's safe? His gaze softened. I'll be here. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, don't second-guess yourself. I'm scared, Samuel, she admitted, feeling a lump form in her throat. What if we're making this worse? Sometimes the truth hurts more than silence, he replied, his voice resonating with a calm strength she sought to believe in. But standing up to him is the only way to end this. As they talked, the shadows grew longer, stretching across the ground like grasping fingers. Clara felt every tick of the clock in her chest, evoking images of her father's face. She saw the man she loved fading into a monster, and it broke her all over again. All right, Clara finally said, determination igniting within her. Let us do it. We'll get the truth out, one way or another. Samuel nodded, a flicker of admiration in his eyes. That's the spirit. But be careful. Don't let him see your fear. He feeds off it. With that, they formed a plan, a fragile but growing resolve blossoming between them. Clara's mind reeled with every risky detail, yet beneath the fear simmered a fierce sense of purpose. They were on the cusp of something monumental. Meet me here tonight at 8, Samuel said, glancing back toward home as if sensing an unseen presence. And Clara, one last thing, yeah? If you encounter anyone who makes you uncomfortable, anyone who even looks like they may work for your father, run. Don't hesitate. Your safety comes first. She nodded, the gravity of his warning pressing down like a weight on her shoulders. I will. As she turned to leave, a chill swept through her, sending a shiver up her spine. Were they already too late? Every step away from Samuel felt heavy, and her heart pounded with caution. She could almost hear her father's voice in her mind, soft, persuasive, and sinister. The day stretched before her, filled with fragments of fear, uncertainty, and the lurking shadows of betrayal. Every moment counted. She glanced over her shoulder one last time, the oak tree looming behind her like a sentinel. What would tonight bring? Would the truth illuminate the darkness, or would it plunge her further into chaos? Her heart raced as the future loomed ahead, darker than the night that would soon fall. The journey had only begun, but within Clara resided a burgeoning defiance that refused to be extinguished. And as she crossed the threshold into her father's domain, she whispered to herself, I will not let him win. But deep down, she couldn't shake the feeling that something even more sinister was waiting, something that would change everything. Clara spent the day in a daze, her mind racing through the details of their plan, punctuated by moments of chilling trepidation. Each glance at the ticking wall clock felt like a countdown to disaster, the second hand thumping a grim beat in her chest. After hours of pretending to study, she finally allowed her gaze to drift toward her father's office door. It loomed at the end of the dark hallway, ominous and unyielding. Her heart pounded as she practiced her facade, rehearsing innocent smiles and casual conversations. But inside, a storm raged. What if he sensed her intention? What if the weight of her treachery hung in the air like a secret he could smell? Clara? The sound of her father's voice made her jump. What are you doing, daydreaming? Nothing. She blurted, forcing a smile. Just studying for the upcoming test. His eyes narrowed, a flicker of suspicion brushing his features. Make sure you get it right. I expect nothing short of excellence. Of course, Dad. The words felt like ash in her mouth. He turned away, leaving her trembling in the silence. As the night crept in, Clara found herself in front of the oak tree, nerves twisting like vines in her stomach. Samuel's absence felt like a gaping hole. Did he get caught? Was her father onto them already? She glanced at her watch. 8 o'clock flashed back at her like a taunt. When Samuel finally arrived, he looked different. His expression held a gravity that sent a chill rippling through her. "Clara, we need to hurry. He's leaving soon. We might only have a few minutes. Did you see anyone?" She scanned the shadows, breath quickening. "Not yet, but he's on edge. We can't be caught." Without another word, they slipped through the shadows towards the house. Clara's hand trembled where it brushed against the rough bark of the oak. It felt like a lifeline, a reminder of Samuel, of safety, or at least what little safety felt like now. They crept into the house, moving far from the main living areas. Clara's heart thudded louder with each step toward her father's office. Samuel led the way, pushing the door open discreetly. The room was cloaked in darkness, only scattered beams of moonlight managed to trickle through the drawn curtains. "It's over here," Samuel whispered, his voice barely a breath. He knelt down beside a wall panel, fingers prying carefully at the edge. Clara held her breath, urging the ancient wood to surrender its secrets. With a slight creak, the panel swung inward, revealing a small compartment. "Are you ready?" Samuel's eyes darted around the room, scanning for any signs of danger. "Let us get it," Clara responded, her heart racing in defiance of fear. She reached in, fingers brushing against paper. Names and dates, but one flicker caught her attention, a name she knew. A chill shot down her spine, the revelation hitting her like ice water. "Samuel," she gasped, pulling out the papers. This is about the safe house." "What? What do you mean?" He leaned in, his heart pounding as he scanned the documents. "It's all here: plans, addresses, people who've crossed him." The reality crashed over her like a wave. They weren't just searching files, they'd uncovered something much larger, something that put them in direct sight of her father's wrath. Then, she heard the distant sound of a car on the driveway. Her stomach dropped. "He's home. Clara, we need to go. Now." Samuel grabbed her wrist, pulling her toward the door. "Wait," she urged, mind racing. "What about the files?" "Leave it. We can't risk getting caught." But as she hesitated, her father's muffled voice drifted upstairs, sending spikes of panic through her veins. "You must not hide from me." Samuel's grip tightened, urgency igniting a fire in his eyes. "Now is not the time for this. We're out of options." Clara's instincts screamed at her. The truth was right there, but if they didn't act fast, it would be too late. With a final, desperate glance at the papers, she tore herself from the safety of knowledge and plunged into the depths of fear. As they burst into the hallway, adrenaline surged. Would they escape this time? But something urged her to look back, just once. What had they left behind? And what dangerous path lay ahead for those who sought the truth? They dashed down the hallway, breathless, hearts hammering in sync. Clara's mind raced as she fought to push away the nagging fear that they had made a grave mistake. The thought of the papers, the facts that could expose her father's cryptic life, clashed violently against her instinct for survival. Samuel's grip was like iron around her wrist as he pulled her toward the back staircase. "This way," he hissed, urgency etched in every line of his face. Clara followed blindly, still replaying the chilling echoes of her father's voice. It was too close, too threatening. "Do you think he saw us?" she whispered, panic gripping her throat. "I don't know. Just move," he urged, eyes darting nervously. They stumbled down the narrow stairs, the creaking wood protesting under their weight. As they reached the bottom, the faint glow of the foyer's light filtered into the darkness, casting eerie shadows that danced along the walls. Clara's heart sank. Her father's firm silhouette was clear in the doorway. "No," she breathed, frozen for a moment by fear. "Clara!" Samuel's urgent whisper snapped her out of it. We need to go. She tore her gaze from the figure, taking a step backward, but the cold grip of dread pulled her in. Their escape depended on speed, yet the weight of the unknown lingered like a thick fog. Suddenly, a voice echoed from the foyer. I know you're here. You can't hide forever. Panic surged anew as Clara felt her heart drop. Did he really know? Were they already trapped? She could almost feel the suffocating grip of her father's power encroaching upon them. Samuel pulled her back, leading her to a small door at the bottom of the stairs. Get in. Now. He shoved her through, forcing her into a tight, dark space. She could barely see him as he squeezed in behind her, their bodies pressed tightly together against the wooden walls. Quiet, he murmured, his breath hot against her ear. Clara nodded, but her mind was racing. The silence surrounding them felt insufferable, layered with tension, thick like fog. Every heartbeat echoed in her ears, reminding her of their imminent danger. Suddenly, boots thudded on the stairs above, heavy and purpose-driven. Clara held her breath, every muscle taut, ears straining to hear her father's movements. If he found them here, I won't let you go, he shouted, voice booming through the house. You're still my daughter. Pain twisted in Clara's chest, tinged with guilt amidst her fear. The truth was burning beneath her skin, making her question everything she thought she knew. Clara? Samuel whispered, pulling her attention back to him. We need a plan. I don't know, she stammered. We can't just stay here until he decides to leave. Suddenly, a thought struck her like a bolt of lightning. What if we confront him? We need to know no matter what the truth is. Samuel's brows knitted together in doubt. You're talking about risking everything. I know, but this is bigger than both of us. We have to take control. The determination in her voice seemed to stir something in Samuel. Okay, he said, though uncertainty lingered in his eyes. But we need to be smart about this. Just then, the sounds in the house faded, replaced by an unsettling silence. Clara peered through the tiny crack in the door, heart thundering. Had he left? But as she looked out, a fresh wave of dread washed over her. Her father stood at the bottom of the stairs, clutching something sleek and metallic. A gun. Sam. He has a gun. Clara gasped, panic surging again in her veins. We have to go. But the door was slowly creaking open. What are we going to do? Clara thought, the weight of the moment crashing down as they froze in place, caught between fear and the sinister truth looming just beyond their reach. What choice did they really have now? The door swung open with a deafening creak, splintering the silence that had wrapped around Clara and Samuel like a suffocating shroud. Clara's stomach dropped as her father stepped into the narrow space, the gun glinting ominously in the dim light. Come out, he commanded, his voice cold and unyielding. This is your last chance. Samuel squeezed Clara tighter, his breath quickening, and she could feel the heat radiating off him like a live wire thrumming with fear. Clara's mind raced, every alternative flashing through her thoughts, but none seemed remotely safe. Stay quiet, she whispered, an idea sparking like a flame in a dark room. This was not how she'd envisioned confronting him, but maybe there was a way to turn his rage into confusion. Pretend you're still scared. Make him talk. We need to find out what he is hiding. Samuel nodded slightly, fear pooling in his eyes but determination hardening his jaw. Just come out. Her father yelled again, frustration creeping into his tone. Clara could see the tightness in his posture, the way his finger flexed dangerously close to the trigger. You can't run from the truth. Clara's heart raced. The truth. What truth? It felt like something heavy, ready to collapse on them both. With a deep breath and a silent nod to Samuel, she forced her body to move. Okay, Dad, Clara called, feigning a wavering voice, stepping out from the shadows and dragging Samuel along. We're here. The moment they appeared, Clara felt her father's gaze slice through her, part rage, part disappointment. What do you think you're doing, Clara? You think you can just run from me? I'm not running, she said, trying to stand her ground. We need to talk. I need to understand. Behind her, she could feel Samuel tense, his body taut like a drawn bow. You don't have to do this, Mr. Hastings, he spoke up, his voice steady despite the chaos surrounding them. None of this is worth it. Stay out of this. Her father shot back, turning his icy gaze toward Samuel. This is between me and my daughter. Is it? She pressed, anger flaring inside of her. Or is it about control? You want to keep me in the dark about everything, and it's killing us. The gun felt heavier in her father's hands, shaking ever so slightly as if her words had reached him. For a fleeting moment, doubt crossed his face, a human glimpse beneath the layers of menace he'd worn like armor for so long. Clara, he hesitated, pain threading through his voice, struggling against the echoing walls of the hallway. You don't understand what you're asking for. I did everything for you. Did you? She shot back. Or did you only think of yourself? His fury surged again, a black wave crashing over despair. You have no idea the world you're stepping into. It can destroy you. I'm already half destroyed. She yelled, taking a step forward, the adrenaline pumping through her veins like fire. Let us in. Let me learn the truth. His jaw tightened, and for an instant, Clara saw the conflict flicker in his eyes. But just as she thought she'd pierced the armor, he raised the gun slightly, the metallic gleam reflecting the fear that had become a deadly reality. Leave now, or I swear Dad, don't. Clara's voice shattered as a sudden sound, a sharp crack cut through the air. A noise so familiar, it was the unmistakable sound of a gunshot. Clara's heart launched into her throat, eyes widening as she realized it hadn't come from her father's gun. She whipped around just in time to see a figure standing behind her, gun in hand, shadowy and ominous. Let her go, the figure demanded, voice low and menacing. Clara felt dread grip her heart like a vice. Who was this? What had just walked into their nightmare? And would this new player complicate their already tangled web of survival even further? The figure stepped forward from the shadows, revealing a man cloaked in darkness, his face obscured but a sinister aura radiated from him. Clara's heart raced faster than ever at the sight. The air grew thick with tension, a looming disaster hanging like a sword ready to drop. Who are you? Her father snapped, his grip on the gun faltering momentarily. Fear flickered across his face, a rare and unsettling crack in his formidable facade. This is family business. Not anymore, the stranger replied, voice steady and chilling. Clara isn't just your daughter anymore. She's a threat to everything. He lifted his gun, pointing it toward her father with unyielding precision. Stop! Clara shouted, desperate to defuse the situation. We haven't done anything. But the world around her felt like it was collapsing, and all she could focus on was the heat in her chest and the frantic beating of her heart. Everything you've hidden, Hastings, it's coming to an end, the stranger hissed, his determination palpable. You thought you could control this? Your lies, your manipulation, it ends tonight. Samuel's eyes shot wide in disbelief. You? You're with them? He growled, eyes darting between Clara and the man before them. What do you want? The truth, the man replied succinctly. It's time Clara found out what kind of monster her father really is. In that moment, Clara's resolve hardened into steel. This wasn't just about her father anymore, this was about everything that had suffocated her life. Tell me, she demanded, her voice steady. What are you talking about? Her father shook his head in despair. Clara, I'd never let this happen. You don't know what you're asking for. They're not here for your interests. Then what else is there to lose? She challenged, facing down the amalgam of fear and fury that man represented. Every day I've lived has kept me shackled. I choose the truth. Telling the truth may cost you everything, he warned, eyes narrowing. You think you can handle it? Your father has enemies that have dealt with traitors. People who won't hesitate to make an example out of you. I'm willing to take that risk if it means breaking free, Clara declared firmly, locking eyes with the intruder. Make me understand. For a moment, silence enveloped them, thick as fog, and Clara could see gears turning in her father's mind. In that susurration of hesitation, she felt echoes of their fractured relationship reverberate, a father torn between his image and his love. Your father has made deals with unsavory characters, the figure said, motioning between them. He's blinded by comfort and protects his own interests at all costs. The analysis is simple, Clara. He trades loyalty for power. You're lying. Her father's anger flared again, desperation flooding his features. Those things were never about you. They were to protect you. Protect me? Clara laughed, a sound tinged with anguish. You've caged me. It's time to break free. Let the light shine in the darkness. Otherwise, I'll die within it. The man's gaze lingered for a second longer, weighing possibilities. Fine, he nodded slowly. You really want to hear the truth? Follow me. But be prepared. There's a reason the darkest corners of the world come with such fear. It's your choice. Listen to him, Clara, Samuel urged. There's a chance to bring this to light, but we need to be smart. Now, she stood at the brink of the chasm that would dictate her future. This was at the defining moment. Are you ready for the truth, Dad? Clara asked softly, directly challenging him without flinching. Her father's silence spoke volumes. I'll do whatever it takes, he gritted out, and regrets cascaded across his face, the lost years, the bitter distance, the misplaced assurance of keeping her safe. Then let us find out what's been buried deep, she replied, determination coursing through her veins. When the dust settled, they moved together in trepidation yet with purpose. The darkness no longer overwhelmed, instead, it fueled the fire in Clara's heart. She wouldn't cower, she would confront and reclaim the agency that had been taken from her. They departed from the familiar prison of her home, moving into the unknown, into the stark shadows where truth awaited, each heartbeat echoing behind them, trailing a chorus of courage as they confronted the lingering ghosts of betrayal. As Clara took a step beyond her father, something shifted. Her past struggles met her present resolve. Let us do this, she whispered, her voice watered with responsibility but ablaze with hope, and with one unified breath, they stepped forward into the abyss, ready to uncover every secret that could finally release the truth, delivering her from the chains that once held her. Now, as the story unfolds, it's your turn to be part of this journey. If you want to experience more exclusive tales like this, then you need to subscribe immediately to the channel. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and ensure you don't miss anything. Flood the comments section with your thoughts, reactions, and theories about the ending. Let us get the conversation started, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see the conclusion. Your support fuels this journey, and together we can uncover so much more.